Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the high-level webinar on Big Data and Artificial Intelligence. It is now 11 o'clock. We wait a couple of minutes for everyone to join. We have a lot of people joining here today. Today's session is convening under the theme of the next digital frontier, how artificial intelligence and big data can drive growth in Europe. I am David Osimo. I'm Director of Research at the Lisbon Council, a Brussels-based think tank. I will chair this session. The Lisbon Council is a partner of the Data Market Study, which is led by IDC, which today will present. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us today. We have a really high participation. We look forward to hearing from you, not only to your audience, but also to your active participation. And we have a dedicated Q&A session, so you will be able to ask questions. We have 3 speakers today, very important ones, 2 from IDC and 1 from Siemens, talking to us about the role of artificial intelligence in driving growth. I will briefly introduce everyone in a few minutes, but let me start by a few organizational points. As you can see, you have a question button. This means that everyone can submit question anytime. You can simply submit a question. I will receive it and I will ask it at the end of the presentation to the panelists. You can also use the question button for any remark, any technical problem that you might have. This is basically the channel of communication that we have. Let me briefly show you the agenda of today. As you can see, after my brief introduction, we will have Giorgio Micheletti presenting the data market study, an in-depth analysis of how industry is using artificial intelligence for growth, and then an overview of how AI adoption can be boosted in Europe, and in particular through the artificial intelligence public-private partnership. So, very intense agenda for today, and I very much look forward to the speakers. This is one of many webinars that the European Data Market Study has organized. The European Data Market Studies is led by the International Data Corporation together with the Lisbon Council, aims basically at measuring the European data economy and forecast its size and reach. It's a great research effort. We started in 2014 and it's now 5 years that we've been doing that, and we can really offer a full and updated picture of not only of the size but also of the different aspects of the European data market. The project goes beyond pure measurement. In fact, it provides insight to policymakers, and it is a tool for policy support. As you know, the European Union is really active in the policy area of the data economy. It has recently released a number of regulations that basically make more public and private data available for reuse, and the goal is to stimulate the growth not only of a healthy European data market, but a thriving innovation landscape led by artificial intelligence. And this is what we're going to talk about today. It's when data is a fundamental ingredient of artificial intelligence, how do we foster it? What can be done? What are the key applications of artificial intelligence? And how do we create an ecosystem that leads ultimately to growth in Europe? As you know, artificial intelligence is not only a very exciting development, but it's an old term. It dated back in 1956. But after 6 decades, we can now see the visible impact and the progress that it has made today. Data is a fundamental ingredient. The European Commission has worked extensively to ensure that more data are available for reuse. And today we are going to have an in-depth look of the European data market, how industries are using artificial intelligence based on this data, and what can be done to foster a European artificial intelligence ecosystem. I already see some questions, and thank you for your active involvement. But now let's give the floor promptly to Giorgio Micheletti, who is the consulting director at IDC, and he's been working and managing the study for several years, and he's uniquely positioned to offer you an overview of what, not only what the data show us, but also what are the new and interesting insights coming from the project. So without further ado, and just with a very quick reminder that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted online together with the slides, so you don't have to take too many notes, you can focus on listening. Giorgio, the floor is yours. I will now make you presenter so you can show your presentation.
Thank you, David. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well.
Very well.
Oh, hello. Thank you. Thank you, David, for the introduction. This is exactly what I wanted to say, actually, in the sense that the data market study has been going on for quite some time now, 5 years. This is the second edition, and we've been collecting a lot of quantitative data, but a lot of qualitative research as well, precisely because we want to give some insights also in terms of policy to the European Commission, but also to other policy makers. And the idea that I wanted to give you today is essentially just a flavor of how actually the data market and the importance of the data market, which is focused and related on big data technologies, is fueling the implementations and the success that AI is having in Europe today. So if we move to the next slide, I wanted to give you an overview of what the project has been produced so far and where to find our results. As I said, the project has both a quantitative and a qualitative side. We produced the first wave of results at the beginning of last year in 2018, but we've been doing a second measurement of our indicators and of our quantitative research at the beginning of this year, and actually until a few months ago. So you will have a report on facts and figures, which is accompanied by a full data set with all the values updated of our indicators. You will have a full report on policy conclusions where you will see the consequences, say, of the of this quantitative research in terms of policy making. You will find an interim report, which is the summary of the previous reports. But more importantly, I would say you'll also find a series of stories. So this qualitative research on specific aspects of the data market that have been carried out recently, and one of them, and the one that is highlighted in green here, is precisely on big data and AI. So if you go here, then you will have the chance to
Giorgio, there seems to be a little problem with your microphone, probably a connection. For a long time we heard you very well, but now you seem to go away. So probably you don't have to move too much. It might be a connection problem.
How about now?
Now it's fine.
Okay. So I would just say, pointing everyone to the website that actually you, David, and the Lisbon Council also participating to, managing to, in order to pointing them where to find our results. And I just wanted to add that we also, for all these results, for all these products, we have a very nice short executive summary, so you don't have to go through 100 pages.
We still have the problem, Giorgio. It's irregular. It was okay for a few minutes. Now it's gone away. So I don't know. Is it possible?
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you, but you seem to disappear after a few seconds. Can you try again?
Yeah. Anyway, so so can you hear me now? I'm using the.
Go ahead.
David, can you kindly give me, this is Stefania, the presenter mode so I can use my PC and Giorgio can talk?
I think we can try to continue like that, Giorgio. If this becomes a problem, I will have to promote Stefania to speaker, which takes a little bit of time. Giorgio, try to continue like that.
Okay, I'm here. So yeah, so basically I wanted to present where to find the results. I think I've spent quite a lot of time on this. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, okay. So the next slide, essentially, I don't want to go into the details of all the results that we have found, but just to give you a very short overview of perhaps the most important of the indicators that we've been measuring over the past few years in this data market study, both in the first and also in the second edition that we are currently running now. Why is this important? Because this European data market, in terms of indicator, so the indicator that measures the size of the market, which is based on products and services based on digital data, so the exchange of products and services based on data in Europe is currently producing the size of the data market, and this is the focus on which big data technologies are built, and that big data technologies, as we will see, enables the actual applications of AI in Europe. Now, this data market is constantly on the increase. I'm only showing you the latest, very latest results for the year 2018 and compared to the previous year 2017. This is the blue cases that you see on top of this slide. So we already have a growth of 9.7% year on year, but most importantly, we've also forecast the size of this data market at the year 2020 and at the year 2025. And according to three different scenarios, our baseline scenarios and high growth scenarios, more positive, and clearly a more difficult scenario that we call the challenge scenario. But under all three of these scenarios, we are witnessing a constant increase and a solid increase of the data market. This is to say that the phenomenon is there and is here to stay. And if I move to the next slide, the reason that I wanted to make this link between the quantitative research and the qualitative research. So recently we've carried out research on how big data technologies are supporting and basically becoming the backbone of AI in Europe. And we interviewed a series of...
We are lost you again, George. Can you try again? I will make Stefania the presenter now. Is that okay?
Okay.
Stefania, you have the floor. Giorgio, you can speak to Stefania's computer.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Very well. Go ahead.
1 second. Okay. So I was saying that we carried out also a qualitative research and interviewed a series of companies in Europe that are actually leveraging big data technologies in order to further develop and implement AI in Europe. Now, we produced a series of case studies and we interviewed 5 companies from 5 different sectors. So we're having the advanced manufacturers in defense, for example, and airspace. We've got infotainment services, we've got insurance, we've got traffic and information services as well. So we've got a panoply of different of different sectors. This is by no means representative in terms of in statistical terms, but it provides a good example of how companies are increasingly exploiting the existing basis of big data technologies to further develop and apply AI solutions. And I'm not going again into the details of all these different cases, but essentially I would say that the existing big data technologies are used to make sense of or to treat the complexity of the data. So data are becoming more increasingly complex to treat. So we've got vast amount of data coming from different sources, from different geographies, with different formats, etc. So we see that these companies are using big data technologies to deal with this complexity. But then they link the big data technologies and the data that have been treated with big data technologies to AI solutions. And AI solutions are more and more made to make sense and provide additional analysis capabilities, especially on customer behavior. So for example, customer segmentation, or to forecast how customers are going to behave in the future. That's one of the common themes that we found in all these cases. Now, I would actually say that we have much more research. So IDC has certainly more research, so my colleague Andrea has more. So I would give the floor now back to you, David, and so that we can continue with Andrea on this specific topic.
Wonderful, and thank you very much for your flexibility with the microphone. We managed to make it to the end. Now, Andrea is a senior research analyst at IDC Customer Insight and Analysis team, and he has a unique insight on how European industries are actually using AI to drive digital transformation and the customer experience, as we have heard from Giorgio. So let's look a bit deeper into that. Andrea, let us know your insight. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you see the screen?
Absolutely.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, and hello, everyone. I will start saying that artificial intelligence is mentioned at least 20 times at each conference that I've been to lately, and it's not a topic that involves just businesses, but it's becoming a widespread popular topic. It's daily on Twitter. It's very frequent also on TV here in the UK. And AI is definitely here, and it will be here for a while. And it's definitely in the business agenda for a lot of companies. We actually at IDC, we surveyed 3,000 companies, and more than 1/3 of them will be using AI by 2019. And AI is becoming the key enabler for two of the key trends that we examine in IDC. And these are digital transformation and customer experience, which we call DX and CX. And a lot of AI growth will be driven by CX, which will be the top priority for European companies this year. And AI will play a role in that thanks to the ability to drive personalization and hyper-targeting. And a lot of companies are looking at AI-enabled engagement to move away from traditional segment-based approaches to more personalized experiences. And it's all about customers, and that's also aligned with the top 3 drivers that will drive AI investments this year. And these are quality of products and services, customer support, and marketing. And if adoption on one hand is gaining ground, there's still a long way ahead to implement a full AI strategy so we're just scratching the surface in that sense. And there's a lot of barriers limiting AI. For example, GDPR, data protection, regulation, and privacy concerns are still the key barriers, as we're living in an era where security concerns are quite a sensitive topic in Europe. but also skills and budgets. The lack of AI skills is the second barrier for adoption. And Europe has a lot of talents, but the problem is that a lot of the AI brains are looking at more mature and appealing markets, such as for AI, such as the United States, which is definitely a bigger market, and higher capitals there can afford recruitment of and retainment also of talents from overseas. But also employee resistance. So with the big dilemma for AI, so are we going to be replaced by AI? Are we going to lose our jobs? And that's why also training and reskilling is a topic that's very high in the business agenda and in the workplace in Europe. But despite all of that, the AI market is really booming, and no matter what the economic or political uncertainty might be in the UK with Brexit, or across Southern European companies with slow market rebounds, all the industries will experience a growth in terms of AI investments. As part of our AI research, I lead the here in Europe, I lead the Artificial Intelligence Spending Guide, where we provide a market sizing of AI investments across 19 industries and 25 use cases. And what we see is that investments are progressing at a very fast pace. And if companies will invest more than $5 billion on AI systems this year, investment will grow to $13.5 billion by 2022. And that's a strong uptake that, again, is driven by continuous interest in reinventing business processes, but also in wanting to gain insights and knowledge from customer data to provide personalization and ultimately deliver customer experience, a superior customer experience, which can help companies to differentiate from competition. So in the spending guide, we identified 3 key industries for AI, which are retail, banking, and manufacturing, and those are the top spenders in AI. And there's a lot that AI can do for these industries, from optimization of processes to automating tasks, but also improving products and definitely experiences. And experiences nowadays must be packaged like a normal product. And this is really the case for retail, where investments in many customer-centric use cases related to personalization, shopping recommendation, virtual assistants, they all will drive attention towards AI. And retailers want to avoid mass product suggestions. They really want to understand what each customer is looking for. And they're massively investing in AI to provide personalized suggestions across a wide range of channels. And chatbots are becoming the new normal. So investments in chatbots are more frequent. Everybody wants to interact across multiple channels, and chatbot is definitely the way. And retail companies are turning to chatbots to also gain, advantages such as reduce customer waiting times, to allocate resources better, and provide personalization through, all this technology such as image search through chatbots that can improve the experience. Looking at banking, in our European vertical market survey, we surveyed, our survey showed that banks are doing very good in terms of AI adoptions. In fact, more than half of the European banks will be using AI by 2019, and strong industry-specific use cases include solutions such as fraud analysis and investigation, and that's a big focus for finance. And banks are doing very good also by automating customer service activities through, again, chatbots, which can now perform transaction support, can answer frequent questions, but also can provide personalized banking advice. And lastly, manufacturing is stepping up in the digital transformation game through AI to automate certain tasks that humans can find sometimes repetitive. And AI can, for example, help with quality management by recognizing out of specification changes in the manufacturing process. And those AI systems know how to respond to these occurrences by adapting the productions to stay within the quality targets. So big focus for manufacturing. And also predictive maintenance is another emerging area with manufacturing. Obviously it's an asset heavy industry, so maintenance is a big topic. And predictive maintenance can avoid downtime and asset failure. So through machine learning, manufacturing can build predictive models to predict and forecast potential failures. And this ultimately will result in less downtimes and lower maintenance costs. But we have looked now at the 3 top spenders for AI, but there is an industry where, although the spending is on AI is not high, investments are growing at the fastest pace compared with other industries, and this is healthcare. It's a strong opportunity, and if on one hand AI investments are, as I said, are limited due to sometimes they're linked. Well, they are obviously linked to public budgets, which sometimes are constrained, and a lot of different regulations within European countries. On the other hand, the potential is very high. In fact, health investments in AI will be 5 times larger than today by 2022. So that's a big growth. And this outlines that hospitals not necessarily have the budgets right now to implement AI, but they're really understanding what a big impact can have on the health industry and how it can transform their care model. So think about a hospital that can use AI to diagnose cancer from pictures, or eye disorders from yeah.
Just there is a little bit of noise. I don't know if your microphone, someone is touching the microphone.
Okay.
And your maximum stability and minimum friction with the mic, it will be appreciated.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, there's this is another area where AI is having an impact for healthcare. And AI is really all of this that I mentioned for healthcare, and it has the ability not just to automate processes in the hospital, but also to save lives. And many AI suppliers such as IBM or Google have all picked up on this, and they're providing AI solutions specifically for the healthcare sector. But we now we've done like a deep dive on industries, but let's now look at use cases. So out of the 25 use cases, we identified 5 use cases that will have a strong growth potential, both in the short and in the long term. And these use cases are threat intelligence, government intelligence, so definitely for the public sector, customer service automation, fraud analysis, most specifically for banking, and IT automation, which is pretty much cross-vertical. And this will be the use cases with the stronger growth, both in the short and in the long run. And within these 5 use cases, chatbot is the one that, although its market size is smaller, it will grow the fastest. So that means that chatbots is very much where the opportunity is in terms of use cases, and a lot of companies are using chatbots to automate processes, so to have internal advantages, but also to enhance customer experience and interactions. So for example, just to mention a few companies, Royal Bank of Scotland is using a chatbot that's trained with over 1,000 responses to answer complex questions, and is now handling a lot of customer conversation. Or also Lidl in the UK is delivering a fully automated AI-powered wine bot that's running on Facebook Messenger to help UK customer to select the best wine according to their preferences. And also Sephora has introduced 3 different chatbots to handle queries and handle questions regarding reservations and reviews and makeup tips and so on. But why are companies using AI? Does it really make an impact on business? That the answer is definitely yes. So, and here we identify 3 use cases focusing on industries that are highly customer facing. So these are not the top 3 spending, but I selected a few customer facing industries such as retail, banking, and telecom, where AI is having an impact. So the results and the outcomes for businesses are significant after implementing AI. So for example, British ASOS is using a visual search tool that allows customers to snap a picture and get personalized suggestions and product recommendation based on their preferences. And this is having extraordinary results, not only does improve customer experience, but it also gets customers to buy more online. So ASOS is getting 58% of customers to buy from mobile application. That's thanks to this tool. And they're very much recognizing the importance of artificial intelligence, and they're saying that if recommendations, general recommendations have been here for a while, but now the next step for AI is really providing those personalized experiences, and that's where the change can be made, and the impact is can be very big. Another great example is British bank NatWest. It's using artificial intelligence to detect, to flag suspicious payments, and thanks to this fraud analysis and investigation solution, NatWest managed to save its corporate clients more than £7 million, preventing invoice redirection fraud. And lastly, regarding the telecom industry, Deutsche Telekom has launched a customer-friendly and central assistant that helps customers and colleagues by providing updated information and illustrated step-by-step instructions for telephone issues, questions about bills and phones and Wi-Fi network outages. And the chatbot is now able to resolve automatically a lot of the issues that are raised. But all these AI success stories, at the end of the day, are proven use cases and are showing how artificial intelligence is really changing the business environment, and it's also having an impact on us, like on our lives, on us as consumers. So what should we do to support this market? It's really getting an industry-specific approach and acknowledge that if on one hand investments in AI are growing across all industries, growth is not the same. So that we really identify key markets where AI represents an opportunity, and those, for example, healthcare is in the long run is a really strong has a really strong growth opportunity, but also retail, with customer experience being a very discussed topic in the industry. The skills, so we need to enable skills and retain talent. So as I said before, a lot of European talents are migrating to more appealing markets, and so retaining talents and promote employee reskilling if needed, or educating the workforce. It's very necessary, and we need to teach employees that are very resistant towards AI, that AI will not replace them, but it will augment them, so that it will give these extra capabilities to carry on their tasks. And also, lastly, invest on AI. National strategies are surely there in Europe, but there were some countries. I was in Berlin at a conference, and they were saying that Germany, for example, invested 500,000 euros in artificial intelligence. But the idea are so many regarding artificial intelligence that this money is not enough. But what is enough? So we need to identify where that we need to invest first, and how much money we need to invest. And AI, at the end of the day, is a booming market, and we expect at IDC that the growth will be there for a while, and it will be double digits. So it's a really an opportunity for everyone, and we need to enable companies to exploit the full potential that AI can generate, both in terms of business, but also ultimately in consumers' lives. So with that, I will close my session, and David, back to you.
Thank you very much for this very insightful presentation. We now know what's AI for, who uses it for what, and we see how the uptake is really spiky, is unequal between different industries, between different players. So we have heard Andrea calling for more investment, but also for better investment. And here we have Sonia Zillner as the next speaker. Sonia is an expert, senior expert at corporate technology at Siemens. She's an expert on artificial intelligence, but most importantly, she's one of the key persons behind the European Public-Private Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, which is precisely designed at channel investment, but also at fostering this ecosystem that too often we lack. So Sonia will present how this AI public-private partnership is designed and what is it expected to do. And we very much look forward to hearing from you, because we all agree this is important. What next? What can we do to make it happen in Europe? Sonia, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, David. Thank you first of all to have me here to have the opportunity to really share with everybody in the call what we have done and what we are planning to do, because I think this is a really exciting exercise. So basically, as Andrea and Giorgio already said, there's high invest, so there's the market will grow, and we already see a lot of very promising areas for future applications usage scenario for AI. And the question we are asking ourselves, how can we boost this AI adoption? So many more could be harvested. So basically the question is how we could move forward in this area. And basically what I would like to share with you in the next minutes is our journey towards an AI PPP. So basically an open and inclusive ecosystem around AI. Before I start, let me say that we are using AI in a very wide overarching term. So this includes the digital and the physical intelligence. So basically from data and robotics and all the related smart technologies. So basically the idea is that we do not want to distinguish too much what's in, what's out, but more or less like see it from the application and the impact we can do. This is the starting point. Just the last months, what happened so far is that the starting point on the left side, you see it's an initiative which is driven by the EU Robotics and BDVA. Both associations, both PPPs signed a memorandum of understanding in December at the ICT event in Vienna. And followed by this, or maybe assume that followed by this, both associations were mentioned in the European communication on AI in December, which highlighted that that there will be a new partnership and that this partnership will be built upon the two existing partnerships, EU Robotics and BDVA. So basically the two associations, when we read this communication, we have been quite happy to be invited to push this forward. And then we published a joint AI vision paper in March 2019, where we roughly showed where we want to go and to also establish a basis to engage more and more people. And then we have been working in the last months from March to May, and I see a lot of people in the call who have contributed to this exercise. So we had many workshops. We had people responsible for section from both sides, from the EU Robotics and the BDVA side, so task forces, topic groups, to consolidate the document, the first consultation release of the strategic research, innovation and deployment agenda for this AI PPP. So it's only the consultation release, and now this will be the basis. So we published this on a public event and have been lucky that Roberto Viola did a key a presentation and took one of our copies with him. So basically this was really showing that we got strong support from the European Commission side, and now the journey continues. So basically what you see is here now the strategic research and innovation agenda. I will provide you a link at the end of the slide. So basically this is now first the basis to engage, collaborate with many different stakeholders. So it's quite clear that to implement, to boost the AI adoption is not possible with one organization or like one association alone. So many different stakeholders needs to be engaged. So basically this is envisioned here. The PPP is thought to be open and inclusive. So basically we try to find, or we found a way how to engage these different partners along a joint strategy. And there's a strong focus on the European values, as well as trying to as focused as possible in order to make high impact. Let me share with you the vision, what we want to basically what we want to boost European industrial competitiveness and we want to focus on developing and deploying value-driven trustworthy AI. So the trustworthy is of importance for us to have a uniqueness of the European fundamental rights, principles and values, but also about developing and deploying, meaning going the last mile, having these industrial requirements reflected. So this is a very important aspect of the vision of the PPP. Let me also shortly, this is a exercise where many people have been involved, and you see all the many numbers of contributors, and there was a partnership coordination group. We did a lot of workshops, so this is not for reading in detail. I just want to show you that we did workshops nearly sometimes twice a month, and people participated. I've brought some pictures. So basically this was a first meeting with the robotics people. So this was quite fun to see how we are working together, the first conceptualization. We also did some partying. Then this is the image of the workshop in Bucharest, where we have been invited to the flagship event from robotics people, and you see people standing there. They have been really interested and engaged with us in the discussion. We also had strong support from the very beginning from European Commission. Lucilla was talking, giving some notes and told about the importance of this, and then you see other engagement of the people. So I just wanted to show you that really people are working, engaging, and that this is a community thing. We already managed to bring the people here together. In terms of AI opportunities, we took the numbers from Andrea, so we could rely on the financial analysis data from the investments, so the expected distribution of financial investments, which we could we used them and we analyzed them. Actually, we combine them with the data from the robotics and drone markets, and in terms of AI opportunities, our message, what we learned by looking at the numbers and also by looking at the different topic groups we are having. So we have many groups in BDVA as well as robotics that are looking at markets, at sectors, at particular application scenarios. And the interesting part by this is that we're getting so many of them. So there are many ideas, and it was for us, it was difficult to prioritize, to say this is the most important market, because we see opportunities really across the sectors. And this is also an important argumentation for us to have a AI PPP which provides technology which goes across sectors. In this context of the work, we developed a European AI framework. So basically identifying all the aspects which need to be addressed when you want to push forward such an ecosystem exercise. And I think the first thing is that we want to leverage all the uniqueness characteristics of Europe. So basically European fundamental rights, principles, values. So this leads all to this trustworthy situation. So this needs to be incorporated, and this is a strong pillar of the AI PPP adoption and for business, society, and people. So it should bring value to these different to the different areas, and we need to ensure that the policy, regulation, certification, and standards are in a way that they support us instead of that they support us and they lever the market. So this is on the uniqueness of the European market. Second, we need to understand the AI innovation ecosystem enabler. So that was mentioned before already. So skills and knowledge needs to be there. Data for AI, so we need to ensure the access to data and the experimentation and deployment. So that's the way how we are developing AI-driven application here. Dedicated actions are needed to speed up the overall process. And last but not least, we need to have technology in place, AI technology enabler, and here we highlighted all the technologies which are cross-sectorial, and they go from the sensing, measurement, and perception. So from the very beginning, where you're getting access to the raw data, to the continuous and integrated knowledge, where you leverage the data to the next level and already extract first insight of it. Then it includes trustworthy hybrid decision making, physical and human action and interaction. So this is closer to where we come back to the physical world again, and then also systems and methodology and hardware, sort of an overarching technology enabler, which helps to ensure that the technologies are developed in an efficient manner. I also would like to highlight here the trustworthy was across all the areas. So this is a requirement which is seen in all these different cross-sectorial areas. In order to, so that has been mentioned before already, we have a lot of adoption challenges, and I do not want to go here in detail, and I think you already know them. So it's about the skills and know-how. We need more investment, we need trust, we need to have the data available, so the digital single market, policy regulation. So it's all the topics I think are very well known, that there are things that we need to overcome. When we looked at them in detail, so basically what we found out is that when we want to overcome all these challenges, what we need is a collective action from all stakeholders. So none of these challenges can be addressed by one player or one stakeholder alone. So for that reason, the AI innovation ecosystem is needed, and this is the plan to stimulate this by the AI PPP. The ecosystem it's wide. It's like we need many players, and it was like really like how can we structure, how can we identify actions to integrate all these different stakeholders. And at the end, what I would like to share with you, what we managed is to come up with a actions working areas. And this is now the area where we are working. So WA stands for working area. Here we have identified 5. And along these 5 working areas, we are now aiming to engage the larger ecosystem. So the first one is mobilizing the European AI ecosystem. So basically here the idea is to join forces. We are aiming to engage with the research communities to ensure that we have like strong research horizontal partnerships to identify synergies between the other with the other technologies, vertical partners, so with all these other vertical associations and the user community to understand what are the needs, and also regional, national and European initiatives in order to align to federate resources and investment. So basically to understand that we are aligned with each other. We have a working area in skills and acceptance. So here it's the objective is to build a strong AI skill pipeline. So we need to understand the requirements, what is needed on the user side, but also on the developer side. We need to promote the career paths of the AI experts. We need to engage with the citizen that they know what's coming and they are not afraid. And we need to promote diversity. In the working area 3, we are aiming to stimulate industrial investments. So basically here we are thinking about how to remove potential barriers. And this is something we need to align with end users to understand the barriers. We need to monitor the innovation, that we understand where are the barriers. And one main part is that we promote experimentation and ensure that the people have access to infrastructure as well as to finance. The 4th working area is guiding standards and regulation. So here the goal is to build trust in AI and create a level market. So here it's promote standards. We think that's central, engage with regulators, sandboxes and guidelines are promoted from our side because we see a strong value in it. And the idea is to communicate with policymakers in kinds of also bringing policymakers together with the industry partners. Last is that we need to boost academia industry collaboration. We need to ensure that they are closer together, so promote collaboration and excellence, align the industry needs with the research capabilities, and also engage with all the research communities to jointly implement this reader. So in terms of next steps, what I would like to share is that we are currently starting, we're working already on the next version of this reader document, which will be published in September. And we are focusing currently on aligning with the horizontal partners. So basically, we are talking to 5G, to cybersecurity, to IoT, so to all horizontal technologies layers, and try to understand actually along these 5 areas what are joint actions we can do, and in particular how can we collaborate to make this strategy successful. And these are really interesting conf calls. Usually they go twice as long as we originally planned because the engagement and energy is quite strong. So I'm very happy to be part of this exercise, because it also gives me the feeling that in Europe there's something really nice happening and people are coming together and working together and really want to use technology and AI and bring this to the market. So that's what I wanted to share with you. You find here the links, and if you have any comments and stuff like this, just drop an email.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation. I think we are really impressed by the work you're doing in building this ecosystem, but what is very notable is also the other components. When you have to build the ecosystem, of course, you have to engage the community and bring them together, but also you have to iterate and deliver. And I really like your first slide where you show that in the space of 6 months, you moved from very swiftly to bring together the community to deliver a new strategic agenda, iterate in a space of a very few months. So this is certainly a good sign, and we look forward to working with you on that. Now, we are moving to the final part of the webinar, 10 minutes, and we have many questions. So let me shoot them out. There are a couple of questions for Andrea. First, it's about how do companies implement AI? In particular, what data do they use? Are companies building AI solution mainly building on data they have? Are they using internal data? Or are they reaching out and collaborating and using data from outside? This is a question from Marco Combetto.
That's a good question. Yes, basically there's a mixed source of data gathering that we see in terms of AI adoption. Is both some of the companies are using internal data that they have available within the business. So for example, I can think about the HR solutions. There's a lot of HR automation that's a use case that's gaining ground across pretty much all the industries. So that's something that they have employee data, employee records, employee interactions, and through AI systems, basically this use case is able to analyze the interaction and analyze the tone of emails, for example, and see like how the employees is really feeling. So if he's about to leave the company, if he's looking for something else. So it's some of the sources are internal, some of the sources are external. So it's this is a mixed bag, I would say, in terms of data that the companies are using.
Excellent. And then we have another question for Sonia. The question is from Tim McGarr, and it's about standardization. And in this field, which standards bodies do you view as being most important? CENELEC?
Actually, the details about which one is the most important one is currently for me difficult to answer. I know that it's a lot of movement currently. It's a lot of stuff which is happening, and we're talking with all of them. So it's about they are having these first technical papers currently, but we do not have a prioritization which is the most important one.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your answer. We also have a reminder that there are many projects working on this. Participant, Mr. Rodriguez mentioned Sherpa and Sienna working on ethics, human rights, regulatory option, technical option. This is certainly true. Excuse me. And we hope that this webinar helped brought together the community even further. I have a final question for Andrea, and we were impressed by the use cases, but of course these are large companies. What's in it for SMEs?
That's another good question. So basically, what we see in IDC is that there's a very split trend for AI adoption between large enterprises and SMBs, and we see a lot of AI investments coming mostly from large enterprises because they have more skills, more capabilities, more resources to actually implement those systems. Regarding the small and medium businesses, it's I would say that AI, there's still a lot to do. So if we project, for example, adoption of AI, and we compare large enterprises versus small and medium businesses in 2019, there's still a significant gap. I would say that the gap in projected adoption would be around like 9 or 10%. So there's still a lot of issues that need to be resolved in terms of how to target as small and medium businesses regarding the AI. Sometimes budgets are concerned, so digital transformation projects are not always affordable for small businesses. There's a lot of skepticism and fear, as I said before, about the job losses and fear that AI will replace the jobs, and also sometimes the skills are missing within the small and medium businesses. So there's limitations are definitely stronger for SMBs rather than large enterprises, and the key challenge here is very much to convert small and medium businesses to really using AI. So that there needs to be an education process, and just because large companies are transforming faster, that means that they're gaining competitive advantage from AI. So there's, as I said before, a lot of use cases around personalization. So they're really able to deliver tailored experience to customers, and SMBs need to catch up on that. Otherwise, there's the competition is tough, and then there's big risk of being eaten by competition. So there's definitely they need to wake up and then step up their AI game.
Thank you. Just to follow up on this, it seems to me that there are some technologies that are already so commoditized that they're actually more available to SMEs than they were in the past. I mean, you mentioned chatbots. Isn't this somehow a commodity now? Isn't this much easier today to have a chatbot for an SMEs than isn't it opening up a bit the market?
Exactly. Yeah, it really depends on the kind of use case, because obviously chatbots is not an expensive use case. So we need to have a broader conversation and deeper conversation, regarding use cases, because as you mentioned, chatbots can be deployed by SMBs because they're very easy to implement solution. It doesn't really cost a lot of money, so budget is not really a problem for that use case. But they're more like complex and advanced use cases that require more budgets and more skills, and that they're very like knowledge intensive in terms of AI. So these are trickier to implement for SMB. So we really need to have a deeper conversation around that.
Well, I cannot think of a better way to end this webinar than for a call for a deeper conversation on the topic. So we only touched the surface of this. I hope it was beneficial for everyone. The recording will be published online on the datalandscape.eu channel. Let me just display this a few detailed information for contacting us. Just a second, I will make myself the presenter so that I can show my my screen. It seems that the platform wouldn't let me. There is a final question here. Okay, I don't think we have time for this, but we'll keep it for the next time. What about healthcare? I think we already had an initial illustration on this, but of course we are opening up a Pandora box if we start talking about healthcare. So we don't have time right now, but let's keep in our mind all these additional remarks as opportunities for future webinar. We will hold more webinars, so we will follow up with all of you. Let me thank the speakers for a very passionate and dedicated presentation, and let me thank all of you for not only for the amount of attention that you devoted, but for your participation too. We look forward to the next webinars, and thank you very much, everyone.